Okay, so here the geographical explanation, if I see till here, I had completed the skills. The skills required to study geography and the methods and techniques used in geography make it empirical and practical in nature. Make it empirical and practical in nature, right? So the skills which are required to study geography and the which methods and techniques used in geography make it empirical and practical in nature, right? Make it empirical and practical in nature. So the whatever skills which are required to study the geography, okay, and the methods and the techniques used in geography make it empirical and practical in nature. So which means that to study the geography, even the geographer use the empirical method, practical method. See figure 8.1. The study of very scientific and is always supplementary with experiment and data observation patterns, analysis and findings. It is not just based on theory but supported by evidence on data collection through various tools and techniques. Obviously, like if you see in geography, any kind of map or globe which are made by the cartographer, obviously, like that is not just based on theoretical. It is the geographer and cartographer used the experiment method or practical method to collect that data. Okay, so initially the geography has developed through observation, which means that initial period, which means when the geography subject was started, it was developed through the observation. It was developed through the observation, and when we look back at the history of the subject, okay, when we look back at the history of the subject, we find that earlier scholars of the subject have written a lot about the description of the earth, okay, about the description of the earth, okay. So here it is saying that when we look back at the history of the subject, okay, we find that earlier scholars of the subject have written a lot about the description of the earth, okay. So here they are saying that whenever, okay, when we look back at the history of the subject, okay, when we look back at the history of the subject, history of any subject, we find that old scholars of the subject have written a lot description of earth. Notable among them is the work of Greek scholar Hecataeus. Okay, so basically what happened, like in the initial time when in this world, when the people started understanding this planet, they have written so many things, and through the observation method they try to understand. And there was many scholars were there at the earlier time. There was, and among them there was one famous Hecataeus. So his book, and his book just Periodus, the description of the earth, which was published most probably before the end of the 16th century before Common Era. So this book is written by the Hecataeus. So this book is published before Christ, 6th century before Christ, which means nearby 500. It is the first systematic description of the world. It is the first systematic description of the world. It also gives a detailed account of Mediterranean Sea, islands, straits, describes the general outline of all countries. So in short, there was a person, Hecataeus. So I want to tell you that Hecataeus is a person. Hecataeus is a person. Hecataeus. Okay. Hecataeus is a person who had write down the book. Okay, you can say this is Hecataeus. So he's the person who had okay, so who had made this book, and in this book every detail are written. So we are talking about the first historian and geographer Hecataeus. In his book, like which is nearby so much old, which means more than 2000 year back, the book was published by him on the before common era, before Christ. So every information is given about the Mediterranean Sea, islands, countries, outline of the countries, everything. Right? So Ptolemy geography and Ptolemy geography was another book general description. So there was another book of general description and also included an atlas. And so in this book also included as well another book by the Roman scholar called Strabo. Okay, Strabo was Geographica, which is encyclopedia of geographical knowledge, 17 volumes. So there are different kinds of books are there, and thus the skills acquired by the geographer enables him to make observation and description of various elements in the seas he sees on the earth, and this skills of the geographer have enriched the subject as a new branch of keep developing one time. So basically, if any person want to become a geographer, these are the skills are very important: organize the data, representation, graph, make maps, observation. This clear. So the maps of the world by Hecataeus. So Hecataeus is a person, he had made this map. See is how much beautiful it is. Here it is India, he had made. This is Asia. Okay, this is Asia, this is Arabia, Libya, whatever. But we can say that like this image is so much old, but then also he is able to identify like where is Asia, like he is able to make. So here it is India, India is here, I think so, right? So just imagine, right? I want to tell you. So the map which is made by the Roman geographer, see this map is also interesting. Like here is Asia, Europe is here. He had made the map from the topmost side. Okay, top one. I think the top one. Clear. So when you discuss these points, you realize that they are two contrasting approaches to study. Okay, geography. For example, uh, does nature rule us, or does man rule the nature? When we study geography, shall we study various regions in which a sector is distributed, or study various sector in that region? These are the some questions a geographer faces while studying. This contrast is known as dualism in geography. It refers to existence of two contrasting and separate approaches in geography. For example, some geographers are the view that nature is more dominant than man, and this is called environmental determinism. Well, man dominates the nature. They believe possibilism. Okay, and there are many other such dualistic approach in geography. This make the geography dualistic. So basically, whenever the researcher and geographer, okay, researcher, geographer, okay, researcher and geographer, right? Whenever the researcher and geographer study about the geography, okay, whenever they study about the geography, so they are in the dualistic. So sometimes they are thinking that, like, whenever they study about the particular region, like take example, whenever they study about the cold climate, so they understood that the nature is dominant or man. So nature, some people is saying that nature is more dominant, and some people is saying that uh, no, the so it is called environmental determinism, and the nature is more dominant, man is dominant, possibilism, right? It is like that. uh, Now, We find that almost every discipline, the natural and social sciences linked with geography. Geology, meteorology, hydrology, pedology are linked with the fields of physical geography such as geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, and geography of soils, respectively. Similarly, respectively. Similarly, knowledge of mathematics is essential for cartographic techniques. Drawing of maps, diagrams requires understanding of mathematics. To do data analysis, geographical use the various statistical techniques and hypothesis testing. So basically, there are many subjects are there. They are they are linked with each other. In case of human geography, every social science studied separately and is interface with the human geography because they are spatial attributes. Okay, so whenever we study about the human geography, every social science studies separately is interfered with the human geography because the spatial attributes. Social science such as sociology, political science, economic history, demography are close linked with the branches of human geography and social, political, economic, population, historical geography respectively. It can be concluded that geography has strong interface with natural as well as social science. At the same time, every subdiscipline in geography has its own scope, and this is because the subject matter varies space and time. Geography has adopted and developed a lot of different disciplines in about many branches of geography are developed mainstream discipline. This makes the geography. So basically, here they are saying that the geography subject is helpful in many subjects. Like if you say this 8.4, okay, physical geography, if you see geology, and human geography, if you see the historical geography, political, economic, okay, behavioral, okay, population, and then geographic techniques, engineering, remote sensing, right? So these are the where the geographical requires, where we need to study about the earth. Obviously, because geography is a subject where you are studying about this earth, so this subject helps many things. Okay, and now latest trends in geography. What are the latest trends in geography? Right. So there are some latest trends are there in geography where we need to understand it, which will help the people. Right. A geographer explains the phenomena in a frame of cause and effect relationship. So latest trends in geography we need to understand. There are some trends which are there in the latest period to understand the geography, like a geographer. A geographer, first of all, we need to understand he is a person who is studying about this world. So a geographer explain the phenomena in a frame of cause and effect relationship. So geographer explain any kind of phenomena, like if he needs to explain about the cold climate and all, so he will explain in terms of cause and effect relationship. It helps in analysis. It helps in analysis, but also predicts the future through data collection and modeling. Okay, it helps in analysis and also predict the future through data collection and modeling, and this open up intra and interdisciplinary avenues and widens the scope of geography. The dynamic nature of geography keeps adding new thing in the subject. So obviously the geography is not a static subject, it is a dynamic. It is continuously keep adding new thing. Clear? Now keep adding new things in the subject. The audiovisual media and the information technology have enriched the database. Okay, the audiovisual and have enriched the database. So technology, use of computer and software. Technology, which is use of computers and software, has offered better opportunity in data collection, interpretation, analysis and presentation. Use of GPS and GIS has become a mandatory aspects of geographical studies. Mapping is now mostly done using GIS software. Mapping is now mostly done using GIS software. Thus, knowledge of computer is now an added skill that a geographical requires. So basically, the mapping is done by using the GIS software, right? And thus, knowledge of computer is now added skill that geographical requires. Use of apps have also further enhanced its application in daily life. Mathematical model and computer models are now increasingly used in applied geography. The future growth and density of population, use of land, intensity of cropping, urbanization, slums, and these are increasingly being used in forecast weather, change in climate, change in sea level, environmental pollution, and depletion. So basically, they are saying that. So there are, if you want to live in this planet, obviously, whichever things are there in this planet, all the way down, it's actually an important part, right? So this actually tells that it's important. I'm stopping here. I will start with, okay, next.